Welcome back to Cottage Designs by Erin, where today we're going to be talking about how to do counted cross stitch. But before I start that tutorial, if you are interested in making the quilt behind me, click on my video button and go down to Sew with Pre-Cuts, and you will see this quilt in the background, and I'll have directions on there how to make this. It's super easy. It goes together in a day or two, and as you can see, it makes for a beautiful gift or a nice thick quilt. I put a nice thick fabric on the back of this, and it's just wonderful. Okay, so we're going to talk about counted cross stitch. This is the product that we're going to discuss in depth. I'm going to teach you how to read a pattern, tell you about the different types of fabric and all that. So here we go. So here's our little pillow. I made this in the early 90s. It is definitely a beginner's project. How do we know? It only has 3 colors and it's cross stitch only. There's no back stitching. There are no French knots. There's no lazy daisy. There's nothing but a simple cross stitch. Okay, so now let me show you the pattern. This pattern was free. Back in the 90s, there were little shops all over around my hometown. And my favorite one to go to was in Mount Vernon, Illinois. It was inside a home. And they had patterns there that you could buy. You could buy all your threads, your fabrics, everything. And if you bought something, you always got a free pattern. So this was from that. Okay, so let's say, so this is the pattern. So what you're going to need, it says on here it was worked on a 16 count Heatherfield. Okay, 16 count is basically the same as working on a linen. It could be a 16 count Aida cloth, which is stiffer, or it could be possibly linen. All right, I worked this on linen, but let me show you the difference in fabrics. So most people start on a 14 count Aida cloth. 14 count Aida cloth is considered the norm. This is a 14 count doily. So we could possibly put that same pattern on this doily. So if you notice, I have a blue pin on here, and that is right in the middle. I want you to see the holes. The holes on this are slightly larger. Okay, so you're only going over one thread, where if you work on linen, you're going over 2 threads. That's the difference. So back to our pattern. So we have the pattern. You find the center of the pattern, which is 17 holes over. So let me move the camera to my hands now. I might need to move it a little closer if I can. Okay, so here's our doily. We're going to pretend, I'm not actually going to make this on the doily because I would use this for a bigger design, but we're going to pretend that we're going to put it on here. So you find the center of your fabric. If it is a square piece of fabric, you're either going to sew down the edges all the way around so it doesn't fray, or you can use masking tape and tape the edges down. You need a hoop of some sort. So here's our hoop. You put the bottom, sandwich in the fabric, and then you unscrew the top and pop the top on. Sometimes it takes me more than once to get that. This is a 6-inch hoop. Okay, so now we would need our fabric and our needles. You need a package of embroidery needles. And the reason we want that, the reason we want that is because the eye of the needle is larger to get your embroidery floss through. You then take your DMC embroidery floss or whatever kind you have, and you take it to your elbow and then you cut it. Okay, elbow's length. I've already done that. And then you're going to thread your needle. Oh, I already did that too. What am I thinking? Okay, so I'm so sorry. Let me get on that. I hate to thread needles while I'm filming because it's hard for me to see with my contacts in. All right, so now here is the center. You're going to then start your first stitch. I'm going to take my pin out. We counted 14 over, which is right the center, or sorry, not 14, 17 over, which is the center of the leaf. So we have one little lone stitch all by itself. So we're going to take that lone stitch. I go to the right. Some people might go to the left. Great big tail on the back. Now you don't want to tie a knot. You're going to hold it with your fingers, and then we are going to come down through the hole and go back the other direction. That's our center. So that would be this right here. All right. And then you would make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 going across. Now some people go all the way one way in a row, and then they go back all the way another. I mean, you can do it however you want. Okay, so let me do this again. So we're going to come up and go back over. And you're going to do that until you have 7 in a row, and then you'll go on to the next row. Now, you want to make sure that your stitches are not twisted, that they're nice and flat, and that they're always going the same direction. So if you start off right, then you'll go back left. All right, so if you notice on this, I used linen, and I used a slightly thicker thread, and that gives it a woolly kind of look. Okay, so now let me show you. This is linen. Look at how fine this is. This is a 28 count Irish linen. I wish I still had the price on that, because I scarfed these up whenever they started going down for like pennies on the dollar. This will make you go blind working on that. So if you were on this, you would still go over 2 threads. So this would be for an incredibly large design. Again, let me show you. This is the 14 count Aida cloth. And you can still buy tubes of this fabric. I know at Joann Fabrics. And I'm sure you could buy DMC cross-stitch fabric on eBay also. All right, now let me show you a complicated design. This is by Mirabella. This is the finished design. Oh my. This has cross-stitch. We have beading. We have silk ribbon embroidery. And it's over very fine linen. Let me show you the chart. The chart is huge because the stitches are tiny. All right, it has back stitching. It has everything imaginable. It has a lot of different changes in thread. Let me see if it tells the actual stitch count on here. Stitch count is 103 long by 165 wide. You are looking at, this is a massive undertaking. I don't even know why I bought this. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe somebody bought it for me. I don't know. There's an example of some of the stitches. Major, major undertaking. And then, of course, when you make something like that, then you want to have it framed because it's basically a masterpiece. Okay, so you would continue on like this until you finish all of the leaf. Then I went ahead and I counted from that stitch out, and then I did all the border, and then I went and I did all the words. The pillow was at that time a Charles Craft pillow, and you just popped your embroidery inside the pillow, and then I had it professionally finished. They stitched it in there for me because at that time when I was younger I didn't know how. Okay,